Hello and welcome to another IELTS essay correction, and we'll be quickly going through some of the mistakes the student has made in this question. The question is, some people spend a lot of money attending cultural or sports events. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Give your opinion and examples from your own experience. So let us quickly go through the question. This is the introduction part, and the student has committed a few mistakes in the introduction, and let us go through them. Apart from this has had, this is a repetition. They really enjoy. So a large part of world population has a great taste in artistic musical performances and sport shows. This clearly means that they enjoy it. Do not rewrite it. Instead, continue with the next part. And this provides, and economic support is not sufficient. This provides economic support is required. This refers to the first part of this sentence, the clause, a large part of the world population up to this point. So this is a referencing device. This is a referencing device that is used to build cohesion in your answer. This provides economic support for small and big talents. A few things are explained over here. Please go through them. And over here, this sentence can be restructured to give a proper format. For instance, the student has written, I think people should spend, instead of using a negative connotation, never stop spending, try positive. They should spend money in art and sport shows, otherwise youngsters would lose. Now this thing is fine, otherwise youngsters would lose their self-esteem. This is again negative. They will lose something otherwise. So instead of that, you can give a positive connotation. I think people should spend money in arts and sports shows since it helps the youngsters gain self-confidence and they support themselves and something else. So try to put something positive instead of negative. Okay. Now, body paragraphs have some issues, and these issues are mostly related to development of arguments. The arguments are not as strong as they should be. And the reason is, before we go through them, the reason is that these are not specific in nature, number one, and they are not much logical in nature. So this will be evident once we go through them. Let us discuss the body paragraph 1. Till this point is idea 1, and below this is idea 2. So first of all, let us go through idea 1. The world we live in is a dynamic world and a plenty of incredible artists and big sports champions. This is actually an introduction statement and should have been used over here rather than in body paragraph 1. In body paragraph 1, quickly jump to idea 1. And idea number 1 begins from here. Humanity should contribute to the growth of these talents and economically support local competitions and important concerts. So they should contribute to the growth of these talents and economically support local competitions or important concerts. This is the idea, economic support. I've tried to rephrase it just to give you one more way of how exactly this can be written. Contributing economically to sports and cultural events is essential for survival of various artists and sports persons. So economic support is mostly related to survival of artists and sports persons. And you should, in the next sentences, this is the idea, in the next sentence you are supposed to discuss this idea, explain this idea. So how exactly is economic support helping the sports persons or artists? How is it helping in their survival? This is where the student fails. The argument is not so strong. It's not as strong as it should be, and it fails at explaining the idea of economic support. The student restricts himself to just parents and their kids. This is a limited scope of explanation. You should try to present a broader picture that explains your idea. So what is the broader picture? For instance, I've tried to write over here, sports persons who represent a region or country and artists who preserve cultural heritage of a community have no other way of earning their livelihood other than the patronage of people. So this is how they have no other way of earning their livelihood other than patronage of people. This is how you explain the idea. Okay, if you don't watch them at their events, they will not survive. So this is number one. So idea and an explanation, adequate explanation. Let us quickly jump to idea number two. This is idea two. This was idea one, and this is idea two. The idea two is here's where the mistake begins. In my personal experience, I would recommend to all the young performers and little champions out in the world, okay, this is fine, this is more poetic than formal English language, to fundraise themselves and share their talents on the web. So, fundraising yourself and to fundraise, it should not be ing, it should be fundraise themselves. This is more related to the internet. Sorry, this is more related to the internet than to the question itself. The question is on events. The question is on a lot of money on cultural and sports events. So this is not an event, this is internet, and it's a deviation from the question. Try not to deviate from it. This will cost you task response bands. The question is not on fundraising on internet. Restrict yourself to the events. Even in example, the student goes on a safari in Africa and has 1 million followers on Instagram. This is fine, but this is not, again, this is not events, and this will cost you bands. I tried to shape the same example in the form of an event. For instance, during my African safari, a few foreigners and I attended various cultural events of the Maasai tribals in Kenya and financially supported the artists. So this is sticking to the question. You are restricting to events, Maasai tribals, and you're financially supporting the artists. I later learned that financial assistance from tourists has helped in preservation of indigenous culture. So without financial assistance from the tourists, the local Maasai people would never have survived. This is the essence of the example. And this is why people should spend. In a nutshell, it says that yes, you need to spend a lot of money on attending cultural events because if you don't, these people will never survive. That's why it is important. So this is sticking to the question with proper specific information and developing logical arguments. Now, in body paragraph 2, the student has again lost task response. Let us go through the body paragraph 2. The government should promote theatrical shows in their own cities by reducing. There are a few issues with the sentence itself. However, I'm focusing on the larger issue going on over here. By reducing entrance tickets to allow, you can't reduce entrance tickets, you can reduce the expenses on entrance tickets, you can reduce the ticket size, financial expenses on the ticket, the cost of ticket, to allow all kinds of social classes to attend sport events. The idea is not in conformance to the question. The question was that some people spend a lot of money on attending cultural events. You're going exactly opposite. You're saying that they should reduce the ticket size. So that's not the question. Moreover, you have brought in all kinds of social classes, and that was again not a part of the question. So this idea itself, it lacks task response. This idea lacks task response, and so is the explanation as you'll go through it. Definitely, there would be, instead of would, try using will. There will be a huge increase in spectators. Okay, that's fine. Number of spectators will increase. This will increase the economic activity and overall benefit the country, benefit the society. However, the question is not on that. You can still link economy with this through creation of an idea. Okay, the idea is that if people spend a lot of money, if people spend a lot of money, this will not only, the first point was that it helps in supporting the artists as well as sports persons, but this also increases economic activity in the society. Economic activity, which indirectly provides jobs to a lot of people. So it helps in job creation. Um, so this is one point on which you could build an argument and then explain how it helps. So for instance, in a sports match, for instance, in a soccer match, or in a football, as it is called in Europe, in a soccer match, people spend a lot of money not only on tickets but also on advertisements, um, on consumption of goods, on consumption of goods. What kind of goods? You need to be specific. Goods such as clothes. People purchase clothes of their favorite teams, their dresses. They consume various food items, food related items. So these are the two primary expenses. And of course, there are other related expenses as well. And the companies spend a lot on advertisements. So there are additional expenses that help in generation of jobs and increase economic activity. So that's what I have added. Therefore, if people spend enough money on cultural and sports events, this will not only increase economic activity but also make local artists famous worldwide. So this is the benefit I have presented over here. So I hope the points are sufficiently clear that I wanted to explain. There are a number of issues in this answer. You will notice that there are less grammar related issues and more issues related to structuring of arguments. So, how exactly you present your arguments, the logical flow of arguments, and of course, those related to task or response. I hope you liked the video and it was a learning experience for the entire student community. Thank you for watching and be in touch with me. Stay tuned.